The Setup tab of the Manager module is available for defining the inputs and outputs accessed through the other tabs. All settings that you specify within this tab are saved with your WARMF project so that one does not need to return to the Setup tab each time the Manager module is used. In the Map Features box, the user can choose to have reference information, reservoirs, and/or catchments visible in the map behind the Manager module. When you exit the Manager module, all of these features are made visible again. The Parameters box lists all of the parameters simulated by WARMF. Deselect parameters for which output is not needed. Both flow and velocity must remain selected to use the HER and the Gaudi output. Selection of additional parameters to include in model output can be made using your mouse. Click once to turn on and once to turn off a parameter. Under Inputs, all the managed flows and point sources that are simulated by WARMF are listed. Managed flows include reservoir releases, irrigation diversions, and groundwater recharge. Point sources that are simulated by WARMF include municipal, commercial, and industrial outflows, water sources that originate from outside of the model domain, and pumped groundwater irrigation. Select those managed inputs which will be edited under the Input tab of the Manager module. Selections are made by checking the box to the left of the Managed Flow file title. Under Boundary Inflows is a list of locations where measured flow and water quality data are used as an input to the model. WARMF simulates flow and water quality in all of its river segments, but the simulation can be replaced by measured flow and water quality if there is sufficient measured data. Using the Boundary Inflow option provides greater accuracy downstream, but discards simulation results upstream of the boundary inflow point. Use of a boundary inflow also requires maintenance of additional measured flow and measured water quality files when running real-time simulations. To remove a boundary inflow, select the name of the boundary inflow in the list and click Delete. To add a boundary inflow location, click the Select button. The Manager module dialog then closes to expose the map. Click once on the river segment for which there is to be a boundary inflow point. Once a river has been selected, the Manager module will automatically re-expand, and the selected river segment will appear in the list of boundary inflows. It is important to note that boundary inflow points are only allowed at locations for which there are both measured flow and measured water quality files. You can determine whether this is the case by collapsing the Manager module and double-clicking on the segment of interest. In the River Coefficients dialog that appears when you double-click on a river segment, click on the Observed Data tab and confirm that there are both an ORH file for observed hydrology and an ORC file for observed water quality. Time series output can be displayed for selected river segments within the Manager module. To add a location for which output can be viewed, click on the Select button. Clicking on any river segment will re-expand the Manager module and add the newly selected river segment to the list of available time series output locations. It will be necessary to run a simulation before there is output to view for the newly selected river segment. To remove a river segment from the time series output list, click on the name of the river segment in the list and then click Delete. Both the HER output and the Gaudi output calculate the flow and loading from individual loading sources along a length of river defined by an upstream and a downstream location. Her output shows the contribution of various upstream sources to conditions at a downstream location over time, while the Gaudy output illustrates the contribution of flow and water quality constituents to conditions at a downstream location on a specified date. The upstream and downstream locations that are used for these two types of output are defined in the Setup tab by selecting the upstream and downstream ends of the reach. Click on Select in the Upstream box to collapse the Manager module and expose the map. Click once on a river segment to choose the upstream end of the reach, and the Manager module will re-expand with the selected river reach listed. Repeat the process for the downstream end. It is important to note that one of the two selected river segments must be upstream of the other for these two types of output to work. We have now covered all of the functionality contained within the Setup tab of the Manager module. In the next video, we will discuss the information included in the Input tab.